Welcome to the Power of Oxygen First, where we scale your life first so your business can actually breathe. I'm your host, Dot Rock. Oxygen First means you protect your energy first. You build your life first. You take care of your nervous system first. Then you scale. Because success without oxygen, that's just burnout with better branding. Around here, we talk about real leadership, how to hire your peanut butter instead of just doing it all yourself, how to fire with grace when something's expired, no more breadcrumbs, how to grow or go, and how to receive support without apologizing for it. This isn't hustle culture. It's sustainable success. It's leadership with oxygen. So let's pause and take a deep breath. Let's build something that actually feels like home. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Power of Oxygen First. All right, this one is episode 3 that goes with the return on investment calculator that we've been talking about why support and asking for what we need is so vital to our well-being, to our energy. It's not always about hiring support. Sometimes it's just about spending the time doing the things that we love. Okay. So recently, I have been baking more. I have been making homemade banana bread. I recently made homemade butter, which is fantastically fun. I did it in the KitchenAid mixer on top of the counter, which it was a blast. And I just have to say that it's messy to bake and it's messy to learn how to make bread from scratch. I'm gluten free, and so I've been experimenting. I just ordered some new flour from Italy and some from France. I'm gonna try making some bread with that because whenever I'm over there, I can eat their bread just fine. Now, in moderation, right? Which is really hard to do when you have homemade butter, but it's been really fun. If you want some recipes, feel free to DM me. But it has been great because I unplug. My phone doesn't exist. I have music on. Sometimes it's Miles Davis. Sometimes it's just something fantastic that sets my soul on fire. I don't have my computer open. There's no inbox. There's no Slack messages. There's no emergencies. And I feel like little 7-year-old Dorothy, myself, learning to bake and being playful and just being present. No rushing, no guilt. And when I do that, when I'm just present, I actually show up differently in my life as a mom. I show up differently in my business. I show up clearer, kinder, more decisive, and more creative. So let me share. When I bake, my business thrives. Now, doesn't that sound really backwards to the hustle culture that we're used to? The truth is, it's not backwards. It's oxygen first. What oxygen first really means is that oxygen first isn't about stepping away from your business. It's about protecting the parts of you that make your business powerful. Because when you're nourished, your thinking sharpens, your leadership steadies, your nervous system regulates, and your creativity multiplies. But unsupported leaders, they shrink. Supported leaders expand. Because back to the calculator, if you've walked through the support and breathe return on investment calculator I created, you've already seen the math. You've identified your own energy leaks. You've your misallocated time, the opportunity cost, and the capacity in you that is sitting unused. But this is the part that most people miss. The calculator doesn't just reveal lost revenue, it reveals lost vitality. Let me say that one more time. It doesn't just reveal lost revenue, it reveals lost vitality. And here's the next level of resistance that's probably going to pop up and show up in you. You'll say something like, I've hired support before. It didn't work. Okay, maybe that's true. But let's gently unpack that. Because support failing doesn't mean support doesn't work. Let me tell you, I've been through 2 divorces. Does that mean that marriage doesn't work? No. Maybe I married the wrong person. Maybe my expectations weren't clear. Maybe things changed. There's a lot of reasons marriages don't work. And there's a lot of reasons support doesn't work, hiring support. But usually, what I see most often with entrepreneurs and even with women who hire support in their homes is that the reason it failed is because expectations weren't clear, authority wasn't actually given to the person to take over a task, structure and systems weren't built, and alignment wasn't actually assessed. Hiring is a whole little magical dance formula that you can do, and it can become easy. But the truth is, misaligned support does create friction, but aligned support creates flow. There really is a big difference. So, what if you were to think about hiring the peanut butter to your jelly? Entrepreneurs are often peanut butter, dense, full of ideas, sticky with responsibility. But peanut butter itself, it's heavy. You need the jelly. Who likes a peanut butter sandwich, a peanut butter only sandwich? The jelly is support, rhythm, steadiness, sweetness, ooh, and together, PB to your jelly. And sometimes you need a full peanut butter cup. Structure and sweetness, strategy and support, execution and regulation. Now that is aligned support. Okay, wait, let's go a little bit simpler. Have you ever had an Uncrustable? Oh, you've been taking a long hike. I did this once. I went on this kayak trip and we had packed Uncrustables. This is before I was gluten free. But now I make them at home. So I make gluten-free ones with sun butter. Sometimes I do them with Nutella and marshmallow fluff. Holy moly, they're lovely after a long hike. Just imagine it. You're tired, you're dehydrated, your legs are shaking, and you sit down and you pull out an Uncrustable and you take a sip of water. Oh, that is heaven, my friends. Why? Because your body needed it. It needed the fuel. No guilt, no negotiation, no overthinking. That's what support feels like. Now compare that to living on breadcrumbs, right? Compare an Uncrustable to living on breadcrumbs, tiny pieces, just enough. You're never fully nourished. If you only had breadcrumbs at the end of a hike, you would not feel replenished. You would be depleted. And a lot of entrepreneurs are living on breadcrumbs of time, breadcrumbs of help, and breadcrumbs of clarity. But in Oxygen First, we fire the breadcrumbs. We choose the full sandwich, we choose water, and we choose aligned support. In my last marriage, I was living on breadcrumbs of love, barely enough to keep me alive. And eventually, I didn't. I got divorced. But now I'm living on Uncrustables and it feels so incredible. I just want to remind you about baking and spending time in your life on things besides just what your are revenue generating, right? Because your passions, they're not distractions, they're fuel. like the Uncrustable. Because when you bake or lift or fly airplanes, like I love to do, or laugh with your kid because you felt free to do so, or rest on the couch without guilt. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have been loving that in my new life here. That couch holding time, making sure the couch does not fly away. Oh, that is sacred time. It's regenerative because when I do that, that fuel generates oxygen. And oxygen expands everything it touches. Your business doesn't thrive just because you grind harder. It actually thrives because you are fully alive on the inside. Okay, so entrepreneurs, if your business is costing you your vitality, that's not success. I promise. Aligned support makes room for your passions. And when you're nourished, you build better. Besides, you get to taste that yummy Uncrustable. And if you're a virtual assistant or a support professional listening, you are not crumbs. You are not extra. You are the jelly. You are the structure. You are the water after the hike. You can create conditions for expansion. And that, my friends, is powerful work. And that's the kind of support we believe in here on Oxygen First. Okay, so finally, let's return to the hiring calculator. If that calculator felt intimidating, just listen to what we've built across these 3 episodes. It isn't about hiring tomorrow, it's about choosing nourishment over depletion. The calculator simply shows you where you've been surviving on crumbs, and you get to decide if you're ready for the full sandwich, the full Uncrustable. Just remember, you're not meant to hike forever without water. You are not meant to build on willpower alone. You are not meant to survive on breadcrumbs. Put on your oxygen mask, protect your passions, fire the crumbs, and build something that feeds you. This is oxygen first, my friends. This is what I am so passionate about sharing. And this is what I am passionate about spreading through the world. So I want to leave you with a couple of questions, a little bit of homework. This is the last tab on that return on investment calculator. I want you to unpack your limiting beliefs around hiring. Okay. I feel like hiring is blank and I can't hire because of blank. What if you said, I feel like hiring is exhausting and I can't hire because I haven't mastered the task first? Okay, now I want you to consider, are those statements absolutely true regarding hiring? How would you react? Or what happens to you if you believe that you believe this thought about hiring? And also, where would you be without this thought? Now, this is Byron Katie work. She's incredible. She does this work with relationships, with couples, with people. And now let's apply that to hiring or seeking support or asking your neighbor for support. Can you absolutely know that it's true that they're already too busy to help you? Or would they maybe be thrilled if you ask for them to switch an hour a week to watch your kids? How does it feel in your body when you shift that original thought? And where would you be without that thought? Would you feel freer? Would you feel more supportive? Okay. Now let's go through a couple of journal prompts. If hiring were messy, I would blank. Remember, perfection doesn't get us anywhere. Here's another one. If I allowed myself to lean into just 2 hours of additional support each week, I would outsource blank. Now, recall a time in your life that you felt deeply, deeply supported. What was it? And what would it look like if you leaned into being supported like that now? One of the times I felt the most supported was when I spoke up to a babysitter about wanting to be dressed up like a clown, and she immediately dressed me up like a clown, just like her. Really, that's the time in my life I felt the most supported. And now I try to take that energy into what I'm doing anytime I want to recall what it feels like to be deeply supported. It feels like Phyllis Love, that was her name. And where would I be if I had that in my business? I would have admin support that feels just like being dressed up like a clown. It would feel fun. It would feel impulsive. It would feel like the warmest, biggest hug. And now, if you're a VA, here's another question. Here's another journal prompt. What beliefs have kept you from charging what your energy is actually worth? Raising your rates. Okay, final thought. What does your intuition say after looking at all of this information and data about the cost of hiring versus the change in revenue? Right? Okay. Now, that is all for today. I hope you really take this seriously. I hope you're not craving those Uncrustables too very much, but I hope you have a great day out there. Put on your oxygen mask first and enjoy what it looks like to lean more deeply into support. This conversation reminded you that you don't have to do it all alone. That's your cue. Go download the free Support and Breathe Return on Investment Calculator at rockconsulting.com. It's a quick, slightly eye-opening way to see how much time, money, and energy you could reclaim with the right support. And remember, support does not always mean hiring. Sometimes it's a simple ask. Sometimes it's a boundary. And sometimes it's finally letting someone be your peanut butter. If something in this episode resonated, please come tell me. I'm on Instagram at @_rock_, and I genuinely love hearing what lands for you so I can create more of them. And remember, your energy is your greatest asset. Protect it, invest in it, and always put on your oxygen mask first. I'll see you next week.